Hello everyone, Jai Hind. I am Major Mohammed Ali Shah. I have the proud privilege and honor to be in conversation with a very illustrious General Officer who needs no introduction at all. You all know her, you all are very familiar with her, you respect her, you look up to her. Well, Lieutenant General, Vice Admiral Punita Arora. Why I say Lieutenant General, Vice Admiral is like very unusual, you'll all wonder. Well, she
I
has served in the army. She has served in the army as a lieutenant general. She's also served in the navy as a vice admiral. So most of you would be a bit wondering how is that possible? We'll come to that. We'll explain to you how that is possible, also and how it all happened. But let's go ahead and let you all hear the story of someone who has inspired me for a very long time, who inspired most of us, who grew up in a school in Saharanpur and then went on and she got commissioned in 1968 in the army. And of course, I mean, her course has done exceedingly well. She has done exceedingly well. And let's ask her what was the story behind the making of Lieutenant General, Vice Admiral Punita Arora. Ma'am, Jai Hind, and thank you very much for taking our time, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Uh,
ma'am.
but- okay, so good evening, friends. In short, I'm going to narrate my journey from being a refugee child to a lieutenant general. You know, when I picked up the rank of a 3 stars lieutenant general, at that time people often referred to me as a general in a sari. I don't know whether it was appropriate or inappropriate, but anyway, it sounded pretty okay that time. See, my family was, I would say, a victim of partition of India in 1947. Like many families suffered both ways from this country and to the other one also. And from Lahore, overnight, we landed in a very small town of Saharanpur, and that is in Uttar Pradesh. Now, most of the people at that time were looking for a survival. You see, food, shelter, and some kind of a security. And I think all those people who came as a refugee from that time, the plight was similar no matter what they were in their own country at that time. Anyway, the people, the government were pretty kind. And I think most of the people who were, I would say, mentally strong, because it was very important for people to keep up to their nerves under such a kind of a tragedy. But after a couple of months, I think they did settle down and took up some job, whatever they could. My father used to tell me, because I was just hardly a year old, that people who probably were the richest were probably laying a little thela of bananas and selling that. But they took it as a with dignity. They didn't beg. They did not but then they made themselves. After a couple of months, they survived. That's what I would say. My father was in the army earlier. He had fought World War II. And when he came here, he got into the boots of the army again. And then I think we felt a little more secure than what we were earlier. Now, the next challenge was my father, which he took it as a education of the children. After having lost everything, I think he realized very soon that the only thing required is the education, which probably cannot be taken away by anyone. And his aim was very clear, to provide the best education to his children, even at the cost of clothing, the cost of shelter, no matter, even if you live in a one room, but the education has to be provided. So he got me admitted to one of those at that time convent school, Sophia, you see. So I went over there. It was pretty good school. I really enjoyed my education. I don't know at what time or what stage my father had laid down, my this child will become this, my this child will become this. And for me, he said that, oh God, I'll make her a doctor. Neither he knew how to make a daughter as a doctor, nor did I know that what is the role of a doctor and how to become one like that. Anyway, uh, I grew up with the idea that I have to become a doctor. So I used to, ask people, do doctors eat bananas? Or do the doctors hack and wear earrings in the this thing? Not knowing what it really meant, but I had to, just like climbing a tree, I had to become a doctor. Now, after I passed my class 8 from Sophia School, now some good, well-meaning people of my father, they came and told, see, this is Uttar Pradesh, and the Hindi has to be very strong, and your daughter is studying in a convent school where Hindi is not, it's just like a second language, you would say. So you must think about it. My father probably, I don't know what happened to him. He says, okay. So he shifted me from convent school to a local government school. Now that government, it was literally a disaster for me because the culture was different, the education was different, and you can imagine what subjects I took. I took Sanskrit, I took home science and political science. The idea was at that time only to pass class 10 in a Hindi medium. In fact, those 2 years, I still remember, it was a horrifying experience. But anyway, I passed class 10th, and when I finished my class 10, now another good thinking people came and told my father, see, if you want to make your daughter a doctor, she has to have science in class 12. Now, but I don't have science. I had all kind of a funny subjects in class 10. Okay, fine. Now my father started looking for a college where I could study science in 11th and 12th as if it was just a step to get into a medical college. So the only college in whole of Saharanpur where the science was there in 11th, 12th was the government intermediate college for the boys, not for the girls. So my father just walked in and he said, here's my daughter. I want to make her a doctor and I want her to study in your college so that she can study science. The principal was aghast. He says, I belong to a Sikh family. So he told my father, Sardar ji, ये तो लड़कों का कॉलेज है, लड़कियों का नहीं है, यहाँ हम लड़कियां नहीं लेते. My father felt quite offended कि लड़का या लड़की, ये तो स्टूडेंट है, उसको तो पढ़ना ही है. They said, okay, but we can take, because it's a total boys college, we can take her provided there are another 3 girls. Now to get a third, my sisters were too small. So what he did, you can imagine a pakka fauji, he sat at the gate. So anybody who even looked at that particular college, he says, आपको अपनी बेटी को science पढ़ाना है. So at this science, somehow he managed to convince 2 other parents to admit their daughter in the science college. And this is how I started my education in science in government intermediate college for the boys, not for the girls at all. Now imagine when children were studying science from class 6 those days, I started my science subjects from class 11. Well, biology was not a problem, but physics and chemistry, well, I had no idea and I could not cope up with it. Whatever it is, I cramped or whatever it did, I passed class 12. But I never understood the subject. I had no in-depth knowledge about it. And now next step was, okay, you have to appear for the pre-medical test. Though we used to have PMT test. So I also appeared, and you can imagine that I failed miserably. I never got admission in any of the medical college, and rightly so, because my knowledge of physics and chemistry was really bad. That was the first time that I realized what failure is. And not for myself, but for my father, who thought that getting into a medical college is just like a breeze. I really felt this thing, and that is the first failure which made me so strong. After a week or so, my father came and he asked, tell me what happened. I told him very frankly that I don't understand these subjects. I've got no knowledge. So what he did, you'll be surprised. He arranged a tutor for 1 year who got all the books, and that tutor made me, understand the subjects right from the basics, and I could manage. And my after a year, probably I had a good knowledge of physics and chemistry because biology was not a problem for me. And then I appeared for the pre-medical test. Well, I got admission into good medical colleges of UP, and somehow my father also made me fill a form for Armed Forces Medical College, a teeny little college which had only 1 year standing. I was not keen to join. My father said, "Doesn't matter. Apply करने में क्या होता है?" Okay, fine. Even if I got admission in these two colleges, my pakka Fauji father, when I got admission in FMC, he said, "Forget about other, you will go to FMC only. No matter
That's
how much."
the second batch of AFMC, if I'm not mistaken.
Second
Right.
FMC. So no
Right.
matter, my pleas went on his deaf ears, and he packed me up with my mother to Pune. We landed at FMC, and this is how I landed at Armed Forces Medical College. Now, at
Wow.
this juncture, I would like to mention, we all say, even I'm a mother, the mother gives birth to the children, but it's the father who carries them forward through their lives to their education and decides what is how to go further. This thing, वो कहते हैं ना, माँ जन्म देती है पर बाप उंगली पकड़ के चलना सिखाता है. And that was how my father's persuasion that I came to FMC. Well, once I landed in Armed Forces Medical College, I understood the subject, and I was very happy. Good education, good infrastructure, good teachers, and I did, I'll say, uh, pretty well, and passed out from the college.
You
And
topped
then
your batch.
came,
You topped your batch, ma'am.
yes, throughout in all this thing university batches. Now, after I finished my this thing, now came to join army. Then we had to go for BMOC. Now I was a stipendary student. I joined the AMC not because of passion, not that I was so fond of the, I will say, country and I wanted to serve in the country. No, none of that. I would say it was more of a compulsion. Compulsion because we had a bond that after passing out, you have to take a permanent commission and join army. Now, if I break the bond, I had to pay 3,500 rupees. You can imagine the 3,500. My father had retired at that time, and we could not afford to pay the bond fee. So I joined this thing, AMC. So this is how I joined AMC. And then, of course, AMC grew over me. This is how I entered the army. Well, I finished my BMOC and I did my internship from,
Just a second, ma'am.
yeah.
For our viewers, ma'am was mentioning about those 3,500 rupees. We are talking about the era, the time of mid 60s. So you can imagine the value of what 3,500 rupees had at that time. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Yeah, this thing. But we could not afford it because my father had just retired, and I didn't have the heart to ask my father to pay that large amount of money. At that time, it was a really large amount of money. Anyway, I did my internship from Military Hospital Ambala, and then I landed at the Military Hospital Fatehgarh. It was a small little town in the UP district of Farrukhabad. I had never seen a small little town like that because we had stayed, well, Saharanpur was, I would say at that time, much bigger as compared to the Fatehgarh where I landed. And then I had been in Ambala doing my internship, Pune, which were metro cities. Coming to Fatehgarh, it was a real experience. The journey from Delhi to Fatehgarh, half of the train was booked with what we saw, people with the guns and the lathi, and even the conductor, he told us, me and my mother went over there, please आप ये फर्स्ट क्लास के डब्बे में मत बैठो, आप उधर जाके बैठो कि यहाँ सेफ नहीं है. And here we did land at Fatehgarh, and that time I had just finished my internship. My mother was with me, so the JCO who came to receive me thought my mother is the doctor and I'm the daughter of the doctor. So this is repeatedly tell me, Munni, tum udhar jaake baith jao. And would salute my mother thinking that she's the doctor. So this is how we landed at Fatehgarh. Now, my tenure in Fatehgarh from 1968 to 73, long period was there. But that is the first time what I saw the plight of the families of the soldiers. You see, it was, I would say, a backward area, and the malnutrition, the anemias, the tuberculosis, what I saw over there, it really broke my heart. And I thought that we talk about soldiers, we talk about our army, and look at the way their families suffer with hardly any medical treatment and facilities around. Somehow, at that was the first time which a small little thing went into my head that given an opportunity, I would like to do something for these separated families whose husbands are serving in the border areas or wherever areas, and these women are left behind with their children with hardly any medical facilities. So that was somewhere subconsciously it laid in my mind. I was there for 5 years, and believe me, we worked over there with hardly any facility, with minimal equipment and the medical. There was no specialists available, and we had to treat every kind of a patient there. And from there, I went to Pune to do my post graduation. So I finished my post graduation, and my first posting as a gynecologist came to Military Hospital, Jalandhar. Now, Jalandhar was a very, very busy hospital. Now, there I saw a second aspect of the suffering of a soldier's family, and that was the infertility. Separation, compounded by the lack of facilities when they're left in the villages, led to, infertility was one of the major problem of all these people who were there in this thing. Now, their plight was not only the infertility, but the social stigma attached to it. And on top of it, that the, एक तलवार टंगी रहती थी सिर के ऊपर, separation, husband की दूसरी शादी करा देंगे, all kind of this thing. And we had no facilities, not even in the civil, we had much of facility to treat infertile couples. I have seen people, the young ladies committing suicide, their only fault was that they were infertile. That was the state of affairs. Again, that was the second time when I realized, that given an opportunity, whenever it may be, I would like to do something for these infertile couples. What I will do, I've got no idea. But if given an opportunity, probably my first priority will be, I saw the pain of soldiers through the eyes of their families, suffering of their families. So you can well imagine, if the family is suffering, the soldier cannot give his best, even if he tries to, wherever he's sitting. That's what I always realize, that these soldiers can perform well and without fear, provided their families are healthy and secure back wherever they are. From there, of course, I got posted to Secunderabad, and then I went to Pune complex. Now, by that time, some kind of a treatment for infertile couples had started. I took keen interest in that, and what I felt was okay, and I requested my headquarter to at least send one gynecologist for learning the assisted reproductive technologies. That means the treatment of infertile persons. Now you can well imagine, I was told that this is not a soldier-centric specialty. So it was very nicely turned down. My proposal was turned down, that we cannot have a super specialty or send people on study leave only to study the ART, this thing. Well, by that time, I had become quite a hardened soldier. I persuaded, I tried my best, I gave lots of presentation, and finally, I think out of just a kind gesture, they said, okay, we will send one gynecologist for this thing. And my first gynecologist who went to study the ART procedure. I think that was the day I can still not forget. I thought that I've climbed the Mount Everest because what I had seen, the pain of my the families of the soldiers, I think maybe I'll be able to do something for them. Now, the second problem which I had faced or I have seen is the treatment of malignant diseases. Again, we never had any specialist in gynae and obstetrics to treat the malignant diseases in a female. So that was my next project was that I want to have a separate department for gynae oncology. Again, for the sake of the families of the soldier. Now, one of my specialists got trained, and luckily, by that time, I was in FMC, so he got posted to my department over there. Now, what a big achievement! We thought we have really fought the war, least realizing that the war is just begun. Now, that time, now it's okay. You have a trained person, but you can't, that person cannot sit under a tamarind tree near to my gynae department and start the department. So we collected some funds, we borrowed, begged, stole from this department, that department, and started a small little infertility center at Command Hospital, Pune. Okay, my gynecologist, that is Brigadier R.K. Sharma, he was so enthusiastic about it, and my whole credit today for the ART goes to him. He did not give up. So we started, but then the important thing was the drugs. They're costly. Where to get the drugs? So we started this thing, but it was like striking a head against the wall. You have the patient, and you have given them so much of hope. You collected the equipment. Now you need the drug. Now again, the drugs for infertility are not a life-saving drugs, isn't it? Since they're not life-saving drugs, nobody is willing to help you out. Those days, I'm telling you. Today, things are much different. I'm talking about the era in 80s. So by that time, I finished my tenure and I came to RR Hospital. So every day I would sit, make a long statement because I thought I must get this specialty recognized. Only then I will be able to do something. Only then we'll be able to get the funds and the drugs. So I would make a statement of case every day, tear it up. Again, next, it went on, and finally we made a draft and had some amount for it. I went, gave a presentation to my commandant. He was very kind. He says, okay, it's a good proposal. So he forwarded it. Now the problem is ART means assisted reproductive technologies. Okay, how many people know about it? I don't know anything about cardiology for that matter. Similarly, in DG's office, nobody had any idea. So my presentation, everybody was as blank as I expected it to be. Now, I mean, nothing, they didn't say yes, they didn't say no. But my commandant said, okay, if you really want, put up again. And that is how we got the sanction from DG's office for our ANT center. But the hurdle was not over. We had to go to ministry. We had to go to administrative block of army headquarters. And you very well know the file system. If one junior person writes not recommended, nobody can change that. So, I mean, I tell you, I did all presentations, whether it was out of the, permission. I thought I had to do something about it. Finally, in 2000, we got the sanction, the money sanction for this particular ART center. I think that was one of the biggest achievement. One was the having the assisted reproductive technology center, the first center in the government sector. Even the All India Institute did not have. So I thought that was one of the big achievements what we had. Today, you'll be surprised. We have got 25 centers in armed forces hospitals. And people are blessed. People are, are looking forward for this kind of a treatment. And then we also had people trained today. We have got trained gynae oncologists, means the department has got gynae oncology. So it does not exist only to conduct the deliveries or do some major this thing. We have got 4 to 5 major super specialties in the gynae and obstetrics. So this is how I, I would say, my professional career in armed forces. It ended, and the day I was posted to Jammu, the day I was this is leaving, the sanction came from DG's office that this thing has been sanctioned. The department has been sanctioned, and from there I went away to uh, Jammu. Now, once I went to Jammu, that was for my administrative this thing. Now, all these years I've been working as a gynecologist. My administrative experience was, I would say, pretty, not much to that, as you say. And when I went to Jammu, you'll be surprised. That is the time the whole this thing, terrorist activity from Kashmir had shifted to Jammu. So when I went over there, first of all, the Corps headquarters, they were aghast to see that they have posted a lady as a commandant of a 166 MH, because that is one of the very strategically important hospital of the whole of the Northern Command. Wherever I went, people thought, my God, if is there any war and there's going to be a weak link, that is going to be 166 MH, which is being commanded by Brigadier Punita Arora. That is all the feeling was. And as you, this thing, we had that attack on the parliament, and there was Aparakaram. All the troops were moved, and all the more this hospital became a very, I would say that from army commander to corps commander, they thought that if there's any weak link, that is going to be the hospital. We were asked to make a big proposal, and this thing to give it in case there's a war, what we are going to do. Of course, luckily there was no war, but we had a major casualties in the form of attack of terrorists on the Kaluchak, this thing, family quarters. And that is the time you'll be surprised that that attack, the letter from the army commander said that everybody failed except 166 MH, because the way the casualties were managed.
The army
Because
commander was Ma'am General Hari Prasad at that time.
no, corps commander was army commander was Nanavati.
Okay,
General
General Nanavati, of course.
Yeah, and you can imagine General Nanavati was such a strict
Right.
person, and he visited only 2 units at that time before the op. I mean, when the op Paraka was this thing, one was 166 MN. Probably he thought he'll go and see himself that what we are going to do. And then we gave him the presentation. We had, the drill was perfect. And when this Kaluchak attack was there, we did not lose even a single patient after it came to the hospital. Those who were brought in that, we could do nothing about it. And the team worked very well. I'm grateful from my Safai Wala till the top, Micah, this thing, the way they worked, and they knew what their job was. And of course, they did very well, this thing. So that was my administrative command, the first one. From there, of course, I went to DGMR, and my last posting was to Commandant FMC. And that was, I think, it came a full circle from joining AMC and this thing, last posting to be as a commandant. I think it was one of the best tenure I had. And of course, my last 1 year was in the Navy. I really enjoyed that as a Vice Admiral. And I think I've had the best of time throughout. Now, sitting over here today, many people ask me, Madam, you have been very lucky. I think of myself, no, it's not that I've been lucky. I was trained in such a way right from childhood in the AMC, in the army, that whatever job you are given, work it to the best of your ability. There's nothing saying No, I can't do it. You can do everything. In FMC, I was made the garden officer. Okay, everybody said, My God, what garden? And let me tell you, we did our best. And today we have got one of the best garden in whole of Pune. So what I want to convey is there is nothing that any individual can't do. You can do everything. Only thing required is your honest dedication. And there's nothing that is gender based. There's nothing that a
Hmm.
woman today can do the job what is designed or meant for the men. Only thing is that they have to be focused and they have to realize, okay, this is the job which I have to do. And the third thing is, I especially say for my lady officers, or I tell the parents of the girls, or I tell the girls is that when you are working, if you have taken the assignment, if you have decided to jump into this kind of a this thing, then don't ask for only privileges. You know your rights, but you should also know your responsibilities towards the organization, no matter wherever you are working. Once you know your um, I mean they say privileges, the right, you should also know your responsibility. And the third thing is, it's not very comfortable to carry your family to your office. You see, we all have problems. Even a housewife has so much of problem. She cannot tag around and tell your husband. She has to manage on her own. Similarly, when you are working, your problems at home, you have got to sort it out. How you sort it out? You cope in your mother, you cope in your in-laws, you cope in your friend who will take care of you, and you are doing the same thing for them. Office is office and the home is home. If we keep that in mind, I think we can make this country a great country.
Wow, very
Yeah.
much. Ma'am, your when you were at AFMC, one of your postmates was Captain Ranjita Malik. Captain Ranjana Malik, sorry.
Yeah.
And
Ranjana
Captain
Malik,
Ranjana Malik
yeah,
was one of
we
your
joined
postmates, and
army
she's the
together.
General Malik's wife, in fact, the chief's wife.
So we are same
So
course right from BMOC. We joined army together. Mm.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
joined. So any memory you would be having of Captain Ranjana Malik, ma'am?
Oh yes, certainly. She's such a wonderful person, and we all had a good. I mean, same PT parade, and she would not shirk any this thing. We took part in all the activities. I still remember, there used to be a stretcher parade where you have to, like a carry stretcher as a drill. So they chose a thin person. I was very thin at that time. I was made the patient, and she was little on the side. So she was asked to carry the stretcher. But she was a willing worker. I mean, we all enjoyed her, this thing. She's a wonderful person.
Yes, ma'am. That is so nice. Ma'am, and how was the experience from the army, being a lieutenant general in the army, then as the vice admiral in the navy, and from the olive greens to the white uniform? How was the transition, and how did you feel it, ma'am?
Now, there are two aspects to it. One is the medical aspect. You see, the medical aspect, all the hospitals are just the same, except that you wear a uniform and and you call a ship to every particular hospital. I think that was the only difference. Yes, they have got their own, their culture is little different as compared to the army. And then I think it took me about a month and a half to get used to them. And I was very happy working with the Navy. And they're wonderful people. As just like army, I had no problem in working with them in naval uniform.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, and after you hung up your boots, your uniform, in fact, you and I commend you, I hats off to you. You are still very, very active, ma'am. And you are still continuing with your services to humanity, and you are still working in Gurgaon, and that is really commendable. Your 40 journey was very inspirational, no doubt about it. Ma'am, this was an inspiration even to senior citizens. I mean, that is the key to your fitness. In fact, can I call that as the secret to your fitness, ma'am?
See, you'd be very surprised when I was retiring. I thought retirement means no work. That's all. So I'll do painting. I will do all kind of a thing. It was a matter of chance. that the owner of one of the hospital in Gurgaon just asked me, "Why don't you join my hospital?" I thought, I mean, it's a little weird. I said, "Okay, give me 1 month. I'll think over it." I saw the hospital. I really liked the hospital. It was something like one of our zonal hospital. I said, "Okay." Now, that's what I want to tell my colleagues and my people. You see, when you are coming from one stream to other, nobody knows you. When I came to Gurgaon and joined that hospital, who knows who was so and so? Because people are there, established doctors looking after the patient. So I used to take a book, I used to read. I told my husband, I'll take 6 months. If I like it, I'll stay. Otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye. Gradually, one after the other, I used to get one patient a day. Maybe that also I never used to get. But anyway, I enjoyed them. And after 6 months, I started enjoying my work. Now there is lots of difference between a culture coming from armed forces into a civil. There's no doubt about it. And I don't know whether they pity us or I pity them. It's just the both ways, because the way we have been brought up in armed forces is straightforward. If I leave my camera, okay, on my table and I walk out, I will not even think that somebody will pick it up and go. But there they'll say कि नहीं नहीं अपनी चीजें ताले में रखो, because कोई ले I was wonder कि कौन लेके चला जाएगा. And then you see, like the honesty to the patient. If a patient came to me for an opinion, I examine. I say, you don't require any treatment. That is not done. I mean, they say कि नहीं कुछ तो बोलना चाहिए ना. Then on top of it, if I've examined, I mean, I've seen the patient, I've not done anything. I say, "Wait," they ask how much fees. I say, "What fees? You don't have to pay any fee." That's not done in the civil. The culture is different. I must say, I mean, the way we are trained in the armed forces, the way our seniors have taught us, I think professionally, we are miles above. People think they're scared. Okay, okay, God knows what. No, we are so well trained, and every soldier, every AMC officer should be proud of that. And you should think that we are as good, if not better, than anybody. You don't have to get scared. Today is 18 years. I'm still working and I enjoy my work. And I stay tuned to my ethos. I don't change. I don't want to work. People tell me you should do this if you have to survive in the civil. As I say, I will do the way honestly I've been working, and I'll work the same. I don't care if I get patient, I don't get patient. It's entirely different. But that honesty towards the patient should always be maintained.
Right, ma'am. Absolutely.
That-
Ma'am, I sincerely thank you for your time. And, on the note where you mentioned that if I leave my camera here and I go out, I don't have to care. Ma'am, one thing, you are still a soldier by spirit, because I observed you have been holding the phone in your hand and you've been speaking, ma'am.
yes.
And touch wood by the grace of God. And, I don't want to tire you anymore. And very nice of you, very kind of you. Just because आपको लगा कि फौजी भाई अपने brother officer, you give me time, ma'am. And I understand you're busy, ma'am. Before I let you go, any last message you would like to throw out in the universe for anyone, ma'am, in general?
Yeah. See, yes, I want to, and I want to give a message to the parents of the girls. Okay, today, yes, our women have gone much, ahead. Now, the message I would like to give: when you educate your daughter, you make her whatever it is. Uh, don't tie her with your, there. Okay, now she has to do what I want her to do. Let her fly. Let her do what she wants to do. Keep an eye and always be involved in their lives. Don't disown them. Be involved in their lives. Be a partner to them, but don't hold on to them. See, what I see today is such well-educated girls still are not, I would say, free from those compulsions. That is one for the parents of the girls who are educating their children. And then, of course, I don't have to say much. I strongly believe Right from childhood, you can well imagine that 75, 78 years back, how my father brought me up. He never discriminated between boy and a girl. Never. And he gave us the equal opportunity. He had such a faith in us. The same thing I want to tell. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your children. Have faith in your daughters. And let them do whatever best they want to. वो लड़की
Ma'am,
पढ़ाओ लड़की बचाओ but लड़की पढ़ाओ लड़की को बचाओ भी. That is the should be the thing.
absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time, ma'am. It's such an honor, and always been in awe of you, ma'am. Always been in awe of you, and it is like
Thank
a dream speaking to you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank
Thank you
you
very
so
much.
very much, and I hope my little girls will, look at the sky to fly as high as they can. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much,
Thank,
ma'am. Jai Hind, ma'am.
thank you. Jai Hind. Thank you. Bye.
Just going off